Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive? Today we're tackling something that might sound a bit dry at first, but stick with us. This one could actually put some money back in your pocket. We're talking capital allowances.
That's right.
I've always been a little fuzzy on the specifics, to be honest.
Yeah.
But luckily, we've got the experts from Elect on hand to break it all down for us. So what are capital allowances in a nutshell? Like, explain it to me like I'm 5.
Okay, so imagine you're a kid, right? And your parents give you some money to buy a new toy,
Okay.
but then they say, hey, we'll actually give you some of that money back because you're using it to get something that's going to make you happy and maybe even help you learn something. That's kind of like what capital allowances are. It's the government giving you a little discount on your taxes for investing in your business.
So it's like a reward for spending money on things that help your business grow.
Exactly.
Now, when we talk about businesses, who exactly can benefit from these allowances? Is it just for massive corporations? Or can smaller businesses get in on the action too?
It's definitely not just for the big guys. We're talking owner-occupiers, limited companies, whether they're big or small, partnerships, individuals, even overseas investors in some cases. Pretty much anyone who's spending money on certain types of assets can potentially benefit.
So it's way broader than I initially thought.
Yeah,
Give me an example of how this might apply to, say, an individual.
sure. Let's say you're a landlord, right? And you decide to upgrade one of your rental properties with some energy-efficient appliances, things like a new boiler or maybe some solar panels.
Right.
Those improvements could actually qualify for capital allowances, meaning you can deduct a portion of that cost from your taxable income.
That's amazing. I had no idea these allowances applied to things like that. Our source mentioned landscaping for commercial property too. How does that work?
It's a great example because it's one most people overlook.
Yeah.
Say you've got a business with a storefront or an office building, right? And you invest in landscaping to make the exterior more attractive.
Makes sense.
That landscaping can actually qualify for capital allowances.
So you're saying that those perfectly trimmed hedges and flower beds could actually save me money on my taxes?
Absolutely. HMRC recognizes that a well-maintained landscape adds value to a commercial property,
Right.
and they want to encourage businesses to make these kinds of investments, so they offer tax relief through capital allowances.
It's amazing how many different things qualify for these allowances. So we keep throwing around this term qualifying assets.
Yeah.
What exactly are those? Is there like a master list somewhere I can check?
There are so many things. I'm sure there's some kind of master list out there, but who would want to read through the whole thing? That's why you need an expert.
Makes sense.
These are basically the things you've invested in your business that HMRC says, okay, you can claim allowances on these. It's a massive category and it keeps changing.
Okay.
We're talking about everything from machinery and company vehicles to computer software and even specific types of building renovations. Like if you had to adapt your premises during COVID, that probably qualified.
I'm starting to see why it's so easy to miss out on potential savings.
Yeah.
So Elect really emphasizes the importance of working with an expert in this area. Why is that so crucial?
Think about it. Would you try to perform surgery on yourself?
I would not.
Probably not the best idea, right? Capital allowances are kind of similar. They can be really complex, especially when you factor in all the constantly changing legislation.
Right.
You need someone who lives and breathes this stuff to make sure you're claiming everything you're entitled to and avoiding any nasty surprises down the line.
So it's not just about maximizing your claim, but also about staying compliant with the rules.
Exactly. The last thing you want is a hefty fine or even legal trouble because you made an honest mistake.
Absolutely. And from what I've heard, the potential savings can be substantial.
Oh, yeah.
But what about the other side of the coin? What are the risks if I try to handle capital allowances on my own without expert guidance?
The biggest one is, as we were saying, missing out on money you could be getting back. You might just not know all the ins and outs. All the little nuances of the rules, all the things that qualify. And then you end up paying more in taxes than you actually need to.
That'd be frustrating.
It's really common. And the opposite can happen too. You might think something qualifies, so you claim it, but then it turns out it doesn't.
Right.
And that can land you in hot water with HMRC.
I see. So it's a double-edged sword. You could be leaving money on the table or, even worse, facing penalties for incorrect claims.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Elect put it perfectly. They said, when it comes to capital allowances, the stakes are high.
Both financially and legally.
Exactly.
I had a client once. She had a small bakery, lovely place.
Okay.
And she'd just done this big renovation, new ovens, all this fancy equipment.
Yeah.
But she almost missed out on a huge chunk of capital allowances because she didn't realize that some of her energy-saving upgrades qualified for a special category with accelerated allowances.
Wow. Yeah.
It was a close one, but luckily we caught it in
A
time.
good thing she had you.
So let's bring it all home. What's the key takeaway our listeners should remember about capital allowances?
I think it's this. Capital allowances are an incredibly valuable tool,
Okay.
a really fantastic tool.
Yeah.
But to use them properly, to really maximize those benefits and avoid any risk, you need the right expertise. It's not a DIY project.
Couldn't agree more. So for all our listeners out there, here's a question to ponder.
Yeah.
What hidden treasures might be lurking in your own business or even your personal finances?
It's a good question.
What assets do you have that might qualify for capital allowances? It's definitely worth taking a closer look.
Yeah.
And if you're ready to unearth those potential savings, reach out to the experts at Elect. Their email is alan@elect.tax, or you can give them a call at 01-889-740-405. Knowledge is power, and understanding this complex area could put you in a much stronger and financial position.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time.
Thanks for having me.